So Glenn Whipp and I are here talking about film critics groups voting. Our group, the Los Angeles Film Critics Association, has spoken, and so have the New York film critics. They picked Lady Bird for their best film. We picked Call Me by Your Name. These are, of course, the two big, major groups, but there will be many more critics groups to weigh in, and the National Society will weigh in kind of in January, kind of capping the season. Mm-hmm. Of course, this is the time of year when people actually pay attention to what critics think because they want to know what this means in terms of the Oscar tea leaves. And you, as the much more seasoned veteran in that department, what do you think? Is it worth even analyzing our picks to that degree?
I think in this year, when there are so many very good independent films or smaller films like Shape of Water, Florida Project, Get Out, which is essentially an indie film financed by Universal, it's important for these movies to get something of a toehold right now. And LA or New York giving them Best Picture or major awards like Best Director kind of sends a signal, and Academy members pay attention and they take a cue from these critic groups. I mean, it's not like they're going, but it's important. It's important for at least these movies to get some kind of recognition early on. And if they don't, there's enough films this year where they could be easily sort of forgotten.
Yeah. I think it was exciting to see, Get Out, which figured into both critics groups voting. It won Best First Film from the New York critics. It won Best Screenplay for Jordan Peele from us. And that's an interesting one where that film has kind of been a question mark, a wild card all year round. It's so unlike anything the Academy typically gravitates toward, but has been a critic's darling, a commercial sensation, and is one I hope does have that staying power all the way to the end, because I think it deserves it. But
I think that's the exciting thing now about the Academy, though, with nearly, 1,700 new members in the past 2 years. Moonlight was a movie that was LA Film Critics Best Picture winner last year. Nobody in LA Film Critics thought, I'm sure you didn't, that was going to go on and win the Oscar for Best Picture. That was crazy, but then it did.
It did, and I said this in our piece. I do think it's truly coincidental. I mean, we can draw attention to that, and I think it's what people are often saying. Are we trying to influence the Oscar race? And I think that's, if I'm honest with myself, I think well, yes, of course we are. But but there's another side of that, which is no, we really are just going for what we think is the best film or the best performance. And I don't think anyone who voted for Moonlight did so with any expectation, certainly, that would come to. It's worth noting too, though. I mean, we gave it in the past 2 years, Best Picture to Spotlight and to Moonlight, both of which went on, despite being somewhat underdogs in the Oscar race, I would say, and they won. And so people have sometimes thought, does that make LAFCA some kind of bellwether? And I would say, no, I don't think so. But people like to play those games.
LAFCA is like proudly defiant when it comes to we do not give a rip about the Oscars. New York film critics, not to cast aspersions, but even on their website, they use the phrase "often seen as a bellwether" for the Oscars. They mention the Oscars. We prefer to keep our distance, so it has been coincidental. But I think it does, going back to the point we were talking about earlier, it does speak to just how Academy members now are thinking they're casting their net wider. What is an Oscar-winning performance or movie? And I think Get Out would be a beneficiary.
Absolutely. I also think, one of our favorite choices, I think, that the New York critics made was Tiffany Haddish for Girls Trip for Best Supporting Actress. Just a fantastic performance. I completely applaud that choice. I was jealous, in fact. I was like, 'cause I thought, loved that, we could have done that too, as deserving as Laurie Metcalf is for Lady Bird. And it's interesting because then that, could Tiffany does it mean Tiffany Haddish is going to win or even be nominated for an Oscar? No, but it adds one more kind of, bit of support that more people would be inclined even just to watch Girls Trip, if they haven't seen it already.
And consider it, like an outrageous comic performance is awards worthy.
Yes, absolutely, because comedy doesn't get enough respect. So it's interesting. I think that, I don't think anyone would look at these two critics groups' choices or even the National Board of Review's choice of The Post and say that, therefore, oh, The Post is going to win, or Lady Bird is going to win, or Call Me by Your Name is going to win. I think we're still at the early stage. But do you think that this? I don't know. I mean, what do you think going forward is? Do you think these are possibly the choices, or something else might still be waiting in the wings to be recognized?
I think these. I think one of those three movies probably will win.
Yeah.
Best Picture, and I kind of lean right now toward The Post because it screened last night for the Academy, about 900 people there, which this time of year is a lot because you can only bring one guest. That means more Academy members were there. They loved it, gave it big ovation, Spielberg, big ovation. And with its very timely look at, freedom of the press and gender inequity, it feels like a movie of the moment and kind of the thing that Academy members would vote for and say, look, look at what we do here in Hollywood. We make important movies, and that's a big part of what wins Best Picture.
Is indeed, and we don't know, but we will continue to follow this story and many others at latimes.com.